Damn.
Wonder Egg Priority. Go watch this show. Drop this video if you have to. I do not care. Go watch this show. Oh my god. Never before have I seen a show get such high praise from everybody I've heard talk about it, and then no one seems to have seen the show. Like, that handful of people talking about it seems to be the only ones that have actually seen the show. In a season of airing shows this winter season of just absolutely stacked choices, drop all of your plans, scratch anything off your watch list, and put this right up at the top. Go watch this show. It's an anime original, so there's no manga or any source material that it's based off of. So there's no real way to get spoiled on it, which is a good thing. But now there's also nothing to fill the gap while you wait, so that weekly wait is super painful now. Go watch this show. So I won't be spoiling anything with this show. I'm just going to be giving kind of the overall premise. And this show is marketed as a slice of life and a psychological thriller horror. And I kind of feel like that's selling itself short, because while those are segments of the show, there's a lot more to unpack with this. It does deal with dark and gritty subjects, but it kind of has them in a more like upbeat and over the top fashion. So it deals with a lot of stuff like suicide as its main focal point, cutting, depression, abuse, but it does it in a way that this show, hearing all that, isn't super depressing. It's, if anything, it kind of teaches coping and motivating and kind of finding something to fight for to get yourself back in the game. And I think that lighthearted aspect to it makes such a dreary, drab subject a little more approachable for a wider audience. And it's done well. And it actually has like a fair amount of action that is just, oh my god. Oh, it looks so good. The fight scenes in this, I didn't even know there were gonna be fight scenes in this, to be honest. And even that, I guess, could be a spoiler, but it's worth it. It's not done so often that you only want the fights, but it's done just enough that you're like, damn, that's awesome. And then the talking scenes are just as good. The main character hard reminds me of Rika from Chunibyo, and quite similar to Chunibyo, it has like this fantasy like imagination almost combat of taking like a pen and it turning into a sword and stuff. And I find that just super creative because it makes it so much more fun, because they kind of have a lot more wiggle room to work with. And it just makes it for a real fun ride, even if it is a super downer on the surface ride if you try to explain it to somebody like I am right now. The animation and style in this show is so good too. Oh my god. Even the CG in this show is used properly, not in the aspect that the CG is really that good, but they use it more for like the psychological horror aspect of it and the more disturbing scenes. So that jankiness that kind of comes with CG actually works in its favor to make something more unsettling, which I think is kind of genius, because they took a weakness of CG and made it into a strength for the show. And speaking of style, the outfits the characters wear in this show are fantastic. While they each have their own main specific outfit that makes them easily recognizable, they also will just change outfits for the day or wear something depending on the weather or what they're doing in that episode. It's kind of refreshing because it doesn't feel like it's just like a palette swap or just like a character skin selection screen in a game. It actually feels like they switch what they're wearing and they kind of mix and match their outfits each day. And it doesn't just feel like a defining trait for their character design, but it's more of an addition on top of their actual character as a person. The characters in this show are actually like, they feel like people, not just a one-sided character trait or some kind of stereotype. just the overall movement of the clothing in this is so smooth and realistic feeling, especially without the use of heavy rotoscoping and tracing like a real person for the animation. I think it's impressive. It's very nice to look at. It's one of the many things that just stood out to me with this show, and it's just a little thing. But speaking of things that stand out, my god, I think I found my best girl of the season, at least for now, but it's no contest for this show. My god, look at this. Look at this. I am fully prepared to build a church for this. Nobody can contest me. I will wholeheartedly die on this hill. This. More of this. There is just something about Rika, the first friend the main character Ai makes in her story here, that for me was just like, yup. So imagine my surprise when I look at the comments after watching some of the episodes for this show, just to see what people's thoughts are so far, and just seeing her get mad hate on. Jesus Christ. I actually was just like, wait, do I have an unpopular opinion? Is this a hot take? Good lord. I mean, I kind of understand it because her personality is definitely very abrasive and demanding, except it's done a little better than somebody who just is super demanding and gets exactly what she wants, and that's her only personality trait. But it's not her entire personality. They make it apparent that she realizes she acts kind of like a piece of shit sometimes and feels remorse. It's just kind of her own coping mechanism and dealing with her own form of depression rather than being down in the dumps. She just kind of like dunks on other people and kind of uses them. But it's not to such an extent that she's just like, she's doing it just to take advantage of people just because she can. It's just a form of deflection and escapism. And I feel like that part's getting a little lost in translation for some people. But I don't know. I feel it was very easy to pick up on, at least for me, especially as the show's going on. Every character has so much growth, and this one was no different. I probably wouldn't have made such a deep dive segment on this character had I not seen her just get absolutely ripped to shreds in the comments, just for the comparison of how she copes in comparison to the other characters, since it is a little more bossy, I guess, a little more in your face. But I don't know, I think it's a familiarity because with this character type, and especially with just how they act, I think I have 100% dated this person multiple times. So I think it's just that being familiar with how this type of person acts that I kind of already get it. It's the type of person that you make sure to show them you care, but you don't coddle them so that way they open up. You show them that you're giving support, but then you also tell them to pull their head out of their ass when they resort to their old ways or just kind of get too stubborn. And yeah, it's just this hard exterior, soft interior that, I mean, there's a ton of people that are like this, and they'll come around if they're given the right approach. But I think it's just me knowing it from personal experience that's like, yeah, I kind of like this character because this is a interaction I've had so many times I've lost count at this point. The soundtrack is kind of like a mix of synth and lo-fi for the majority. And for peak watching experience, I guess wait till it's raining outside for that top tier immersion for this show, because it definitely feels like it fits that vibe. The overall like feel of this show definitely feels like one of those like artsy, kind of like critically acclaimed, they rave about it feeling, except without it being pretentious and boring like most of those tend to be, with some exceptions. It's actually just a fun and enjoyable watch. And while this show is pretty weird and has just some absurd like mind-bending tactics to it, it's definitely the easiest way to put this show is it's complex, but if you pay attention, it's pretty easy to follow. It's complex, but it's not convoluted. And I feel like that's an important takeaway when going into this show or even trying to explain it to somebody. If this video even gets like 5 people to check out and watch this show, then that is a major success in my eyes. Go watch this show, seriously. In a world where this show is airing at the same time as Attack on Titan Season 4 and is actually kind of holding my attention just as much, if not more than that, then what more do I need to say to sell this show? Go watch this show. If you found this video interesting, make sure to leave a like on it. I greatly appreciate it if you do that. Share it around with anybody you think would be interested in it. Comment your thoughts down below. Have you seen this show? What'd you think of it? Is there anything else airing this season that you believe is being criminally underrated? I'm super interested to know. Follow me over on Twitter. Because my follower count is more dead than your best girl's chances of getting with the main character at the end of a harem series. More importantly, make sure to subscribe if you're not already. I try to put out 1 to 2 of these videos at least a week if I can. In the meantime, make sure to check out some of my older videos. Put on some deodorant. Go watch this show already. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!